They looked the same, all 10 of them. Same age, same role, same robes, same place, same fire in their hand. A few hours later, half of them would be locked out of a wedding they had been invited to. And the man inside, the one they had been waiting for, would say 4 words none of them ever expected to hear. I do not know you. Not you came late. Not you forgot something. Not even you're not on the list. Just I do not know you. This is the parable of the 10 virgins. And almost everything you have been told it is about, it isn't. We were taught the lesson is to stay awake, to not fall asleep, to keep watch so when Jesus returns at midnight we don't get caught napping. That is the moral on the back of the children's Bible. That is the sentence the Sunday school teacher highlighted in marker. Stay awake, but here is the detail almost no one circles. All 10 of them fell asleep. Read it again, verse 5. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. The wise, the foolish, every single one of them. So whatever the parable is warning against, it cannot be falling asleep. They all did that, and 5 of them were still let in. So what is it really about? It is about something they were supposed to bring, something one group brought and the other did not, something so small it fit in a flask, something so quiet you could not have seen it from across the room, and something so essential that in the end it decided eternity. The whole parable hinges on oil. But before you can see why, you have to actually slow down and read the thing. So let's read it slowly. A wedding is happening. The bridegroom is coming for his bride. 10 young women, virgins, bridesmaids, are waiting for him in the dark. Each one has a lamp in her hand. They are part of the procession. When the bridegroom comes, they will walk with him into the celebration. That is their entire job. Wait and walk. But the bridegroom is late, not minutes late, hours, maybe most of the night. And while they wait, they doze. They lean against the wall, their eyes close. They sleep. All 10. At midnight, a shout cuts through the dark. He is coming. Get up. They scramble awake, they reach for their lamps, and that is the moment the story turns. 5 of them have oil, 5 of them do not. The 5 without oil ask the 5 with oil to share. The 5 with oil say no, there will not be enough. Go to the merchants, they say. Buy your own. So the 5 without oil leave. And while they are gone, the bridegroom arrives. The 5 who were ready walk in with him. The door shuts. The other 5 come back. They knock. They call out, Lord, Lord, open to us. And from inside, the voice answers, truly I tell you, I do not know you. That is the parable. 13 verses. That is the whole story. But almost every detail in it is doing more work than it looks like. First, some context, because if you are picturing a Western chapel and a white dress and a 30-minute ceremony, you are picturing the wrong thing. A first-century Jewish wedding was not an event. It was a season. It came in 3 stages. The first was the engagement, a family agreement often arranged when the couple was young. The second was the betrothal, a legal ceremony, binding, signed, sealed with promises. After betrothal, the bride and groom were married in every legal sense except one. They did not yet live together. Then, sometime later, often about a year, the third stage came. The groom would leave his father's house, walk through the streets with his friends, and come to the bride's home to bring her back. The procession from her house to his, that was the wedding. Here is what we miss. Nobody knew exactly when the groom would come. The bride knew the season. She did not know the hour. The hour was a kind of secret kept in the father's hand. The groom's father would say, "It's ready. Go get her." And only then would he leave. That is why she had attendants, bridesmaids, friends of the bride. Their job was to wait with her in the dark and meet the procession with light when it came. In the ancient world, a wedding procession without lamps was not a procession. It was a procession of robbers. The light was not decoration, it was identification. If you came to that street with no fire in your hand, you didn't walk in. You weren't part of it. So picture it. 10 young women, late evening, each one holds something in her hand. Now the English Bibles all say lamp. And when we hear lamp, we picture what we have in our houses, a small clay vessel with a wick, a little reservoir of oil tucked inside, a quiet flame that could burn for hours on a single fill. That is not what they are holding. The Greek word here is lampas, and it does not mean what you think it means. It is not the household lamp. There is a different Greek word for that, lychnos. And Matthew uses that word elsewhere, the lamp under the bushel, the lamp of the body, the lamps lit inside the room where Paul was preaching in Acts 20. Those are lychnos lamps, quiet, indoor, steady. Hours of burn time on a thimble of oil. Lampas is something else entirely. A lampas was a torch, a wooden pole, rags wrapped around the top, soaked in oil, lit with fire. It smoked, it dripped, it threw sparks. You held it out in front of you, not over your head, because the burning oil would run down the pole and onto your fingers if you weren't careful. This is the same word John uses when the temple guards come to arrest Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. They came with lampades, torches in the dark, the same fire the bridesmaids are holding here. And according to scholars who have studied first-century torches, a well-soaked lampas burned for about 15 minutes. Then the rags needed to be doused again, reignited, refilled. If you wanted to walk in a wedding procession that might last hours, you didn't just need a torch. You needed a flask. Now look at the verse one more time. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. They all had torches, every single one, and every single torch, if the wait was long, would burn through its oil and go dark. 5 of them brought extra. 5 of them did not. And the Greek text is sharper than the English here. The text does not even say the foolish brought less oil or not enough oil. It says they brought no oil. Their flasks were empty. Their torches had whatever was already soaked into the rags when they left home. And that was it. 15 minutes of light. Maybe 30 if they stretched it. And the bridegroom was hours away. So here is the first thing this parable is quietly telling you. From the outside, all 10 torches looked the same when they were first lit. Same flame, same brightness, same heat. You could not have picked the wise from the foolish by staring at the fire. You could only have known by looking at the flask. And that is just the first word. The second word is the one Jesus uses to name the 2 groups. 5 wise, 5 foolish. And the word he uses for foolish is sharper than any English translation lets through. The Greek is moros. It is the root we get the word moron from. But here is what gets lost. In the 1st century, moros was not a soft word. It was not scatterbrained. It was not absent-minded. It was not the word you would use for someone who forgot the milk. Moros meant morally negligent, spiritually reckless, dull in a way you choose to be. We know this because Jesus uses the same word a few chapters earlier, in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5, verse 22. Whoever shall say to his brother, "You fool," moros, shall be in danger of hellfire. That is the same word, the same Greek root. It is not the word for clumsy. It is the word for culpable. So when Jesus calls these 5 women foolish, he is not letting them off the hook. He is not saying they were charming scatterbrains who just forgot to pack. He is naming a kind of foolishness that has a moral weight to it. They had the same invitation, the same role, the same wedding, the same warning, and they did not prepare. The text does not give us a reason. It does not say they were distracted or lazy or in denial. It just lets the silence sit there. Like Jesus is daring you to figure out why people do this, because you do. Because we all do. There is a kind of unpreparedness that is innocent, a true accident, a thing you could not have foreseen. The parable is not about that. There is another kind, the kind where you knew. The kind where the warning was clear and the time was long and the answer was simple. Bring oil. And you just did not get around to it. You assumed there would be more time. You assumed the wait would not be that long. You assumed the people next to you would cover for you. You assumed that is moros. And now you understand why Jesus uses the harder word. He is not insulting these women. He is telling the truth about their state, a truth he hopes you hear in time. Which brings us to the door. The bridegroom has come. The wise have walked in. The 5 foolish ones have run to buy oil at midnight, from whom the text does not say. There is no shop open. There is no merchant standing by his cart at this hour. The errand was always doomed. They were never coming back in time. And when they finally do come back, the door is shut. They pound on it. They call out, "Lord, Lord, open to us. Lord, Lord, not stranger, stranger, not sir, sir. Lord, Lord." They know who is inside. And from inside, 3 Greek words land in the air like a verdict. Uk uda umas. Uk oida haimas. I do not know you. Now you have to slow down. Because there are 2 Greek words for to know, and which one Jesus picks here matters. There is ginosko. It means to know by experience, to learn about, to come to know over time. It is how you know facts, how you know a city, how you know what coffee tastes like. Ginosko is the knowing that gets built up. Information, history, data. And there is oida. It is something else. Oida is the kind of knowing that comes from having seen, from having recognized, from having taken in. In Greek, oida is built on a verb that means to perceive, to behold. So when you oida someone, you don't just know about them. You have perceived them. They register with you. They are in your awareness. Now layer in the Hebrew underneath all of this. Because Jesus is not thinking in Greek philosophy, he is thinking in Hebrew bones. The Old Testament word for know is yada, and yada is intimate. It is the word used when Adam knew his wife and she conceived. It is the word God uses when he says to Jeremiah, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." It is not information, it is relationship. To be known by God in the Hebrew sense is to be perceived, claimed, beloved. And when the bridegroom looks at the 5 outside the door and says, "Auk oida haimas," I do not know you, he is not saying I have no information about you. He is saying I have no relationship with you. You do not register. I have not seen you. There is nothing between us. And here is the part that should make you sit up. These are the 5 virgins. They have spent the whole night waiting for him. They wore the dress. They lit the torch. They went out to meet him. They knew his name. They called him Lord twice. And he says, "I do not know you," which means the parable is doing something terrifying. It is telling us that you can do all the visible things and still not be known by the bridegroom. You can be in the procession and not be in the relationship. You can hold the torch and not have the oil. You can call him Lord, Lord, twice in the dark, and hear back from inside the closed door 3 quiet words that end you. Jesus said it once before, 2 chapters earlier, the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 7. "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' shall enter the kingdom of heaven. Many will come on that day and say, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? Did we not cast out demons in your name? Did we not do many wonderful works in your name?' And then I will profess unto them, 'I never knew you. Depart from me.'" Same scene, same words, same verdict. The 5 foolish virgins are not strangers to the story of Jesus. They are inside it. They have the title, they have the role, they have the language, they are using his name. And he says, "I do not know you." So what is the oil? The parable does not name it. Jesus does not say the oil represents X. He leaves the symbol open, the way the prophets often did, the way the best teachers always do. He wants you to feel it before you label it. But the text gives us strong hints. Throughout the Old Testament, oil is what you use to anoint a priest, a king, or a prophet, to set them apart for God. Oil is what you pour over the head of someone the Spirit will rest on. Saul is anointed. David is anointed. The high priest is anointed. The temple lamps burned olive oil that the priests had to keep replenishing themselves, day after day, in private, in the dark. No one could replenish those lamps for them. In Zechariah, oil is tied directly to the Spirit of God, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord. And the picture there is 2 olive trees pouring oil into a lampstand. The Spirit becomes the fuel. In the New Testament, the same language carries forward. The Spirit anoints, the Spirit fills, the Spirit fuels. Paul tells Timothy to stir up the gift that is in him. Jesus tells the disciples to wait in Jerusalem until they are clothed with power from on high. Power, oil, Spirit. The same picture. So when the wise refuse to share their oil, they are not being cruel. They are being honest. Some things cannot be shared. Some things cannot be borrowed at the last second. A relationship with God is not a battery you can pull out of someone else's flashlight. It is not your mother's faith. It is not your pastor's faith. It is not the prayer your grandmother prayed over your crib. It is not the worship leader's worship. It is not the verse you screenshot from someone else's post. It is something formed slowly, in the dark, in the hours when nothing is happening, in the waiting. And that is the part that gets quiet, almost too quiet. The 5 foolish ones did not fail at midnight. They failed long before midnight. They failed in the daytime when the flask was empty and they did not bother to fill it. They failed in the unhurried hours when the merchant was open and the oil was cheap. They failed when nobody was watching, which is the same hour every relationship is actually built or actually lost. By midnight, the failure was just becoming visible. Now look at the shape of the story one more time. 2 groups of women. Same wedding, same bridegroom, same dress, same torch, same waiting, same sleep. The only difference between them was something invisible. A small flask. Something private. Something interior. Something you could not have seen from outside. That is the most disturbing detail in the whole parable. Because it means the line between the wise and the foolish was not their performance. It was not their volume. It was not their role. It was something you would have had to look closely to see. Something that lived in a satchel. Something you could fake having right up until the moment the wait got long. And then it would betray you. A torch with no oil looks identical to a torch with oil for about 15 minutes. And the parable is hinting that 15 minutes is roughly how long it takes for any of us on any given Sunday to perform a kind of fire we do not actually have. We can sing the songs. We can raise the hand. We can mouth the prayer. We can post the verse. We can give the right answer in the small group. We can produce, on demand, 15 minutes of flame. The question the parable is asking is what happens in the 16th. And if you have been around the church for any length of time, you already know what this parable is doing. It is looking right at you. It is asking the question almost nobody asks out loud. Not, are you religious? Not, do you go to church? Not, do you know the verses by heart? Those are questions about the torch, about the outside, about the part everyone can see. The parable is asking about the oil, about what no one else can see, about what you have when nobody is watching, when the wedding is delayed, when the night is long, when no one would notice if your flame quietly went out. If you have ever read this story and felt a small unease, a private wondering, a quiet which group would I be in, that unease is the parable doing its job. That is the door it is trying to open in you. Right now, while it is still day. While the merchants are still selling. While there is still time. Because Jesus did not tell this story to scare the obvious unbelievers. He told it to wake up the obvious believers. The ones with the torches. The ones who showed up. The ones who said yes to the invitation and bought the robe. And here is something tender in that. The parable is not saying it is too late. The door in the story shuts at midnight. But the parable itself was told in the daytime. To people who still had time. To people who could still go and get oil. That is the whole reason Jesus tells it. He is the bridegroom who is warning you about the bridegroom. He is the one coming who is also the one telling you to be ready. And this is where the whole story rearranges itself one more time. Because every wedding in the Bible eventually points to the same wedding. In Genesis, God brings a bride to the first man and the world begins. In Exodus, he calls Israel his own and binds himself to her at Sinai like a groom to a bride. In Hosea, he speaks to a faithless bride and promises to win her back, no matter what she has done, no matter how far she has gone. In the Song of Songs, he is the lover walking through the night, calling at the window, the beloved who came looking for her. In the prophets, Israel is a bride. In Revelation, the church is a bride dressed in fine linen, and in the middle of every page of it stands Jesus, calling himself the bridegroom. Can the children of the bride chamber mourn, he says, as long as the bridegroom is with them? The whole arc of Scripture is a wedding, from the garden to the city, from the first union to the marriage supper of the Lamb. From the night God walked among the trees calling out, "Where are you?" to the night the bridegroom comes back at midnight and the door swings open one last time. And in this parable, the bridegroom is coming for his own. The torch is not the point. The torch is what the world sees. The torch is what people post. The torch is the song you know the words to, and the sermon you nodded through, and the verse you put in your bio. The oil is the point. The oil is the spirit. The oil is the slow daily yes. The oil is the quiet life with God in the hours nobody is watching. The oil is the prayer that nobody hears. The oil is the kindness that nobody notices. The oil is the resentment you keep handing back to him. The oil is built one ordinary minute at a time, in the kitchen, on the commute, in the silence after the lights go off. That is what the wise had. Not better torches, not louder lamps, not better robes, not a more impressive story. A flask of oil that they had filled in private, long before midnight. And if you have any of that, even a flask, you are not foolish. You are not locked out. You are not the warning. You are seen. You are known. The bridegroom is moving toward you right now. The God who anointed shepherd boys in lonely fields. The God who kept lamps burning in temples nobody noticed. The God who has filled 1,000 quiet hours with oil for people who thought their faith was small, who thought their flask was almost empty, who thought nobody saw the slow yes they kept saying in the dark. That is the God walking toward you tonight. That is the arc of the entire Bible, hidden inside 13 verses. We thought this parable was about staying awake. It is not. It is about what you brought with you into the dark. If this video helped you see this parable differently, even one detail you had been reading past, leave a comment, even one word. Tell me which one landed. The lampas, the moros, or the oida. That genuinely helps people find this kind of content. And if you know someone who has been in church a long time but quietly wonders whether they have any oil, share this with them. Share it with someone who needs to be reminded that the door is still open, that midnight has not come yet, that there is still time to fill the flask. Keep us in your prayers as we keep doing this work. May the God who fills small flasks in the dark fill yours today. And may the bridegroom who knows his own know you. God bless you.